Hello and welcome to episode 25 of Rival Banter. I'm one of your hosts, Luke Croft, and joining me, as always, my esteemed co-host, Seth GPT. How you doing, my friend?
I like that name. I'm well. I'm here. It's the first day back to school for us, so I'm feeling a little drained. But I threw on this Hawaiian shirt, shortly before the episode. And I think it's going to change the vibe around.
Yeah, even though the summer might be officially over for you, you're still bringing the summer vibes.
Oh yeah, I keep them all year, baby.
Now, do you run into kids using Chat GPT to do their homework for them on a regular
Oh,
basis?
100%, 100%. Yeah, I teach English, believe it or not, and I like to when I know because how I teach ninth grade also, so how ninth graders write, and it's usually not well. So when I've caught all kinds of stuff, but you just kind of know. And what I like to do is just circle words that that they don't understand or know, and I'm like, what does this mean? How did you select this word? And they have no idea, and every time, just oh.
Mm.
Oops. One time I caught a kid, he stole an essay from Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. He just copied and pasted it, the whole thing.
That's crazy.
And when I walked to lunch, found him, I was like, "Hey man, I just read your essay and blah blah blah." I was like, I don't know, whatever the term is. I'm trying to get him to confess, and he's just not doing it. And I was like, this is from a book, right? This is just from a book. Oh, and then it was almost sweet. He was like, so he was real serious. He's like, do I go to jail now?
And then
Like,
you
it's
just
not
shot him.
it's it's not that deep, brother. But no, you're just gonna get a zero and an alternate assignment, buddy. Sorry about that.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah, of all the things to steal an essay from, what was the prompt?
This was years ago. I don't remember. It didn't make any sense for him to steal. Like in the context of the assignment, I don't think it made any sense whatsoever. He just
because that's like a devotional book, right? Like,
kinda, yeah. I saw, yeah. And it was an English and history class. It was like a co-taught class, me and another teacher. I'm showing it to the other lady before I go find the kid, and she's just like, "Yeah, that's all I got."
you just have to Google the first line of it or whatever to see where it
Oh,
came from.
100%, yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm like, "Oh, this is a exact." He didn't even try to change it around. Perfect
Mhm.
match.
Yeah, I was never even tempted to do anything remotely close to that when I was in school. Like, look, I did a
Mm.
lot of shady shit to skirt corners and get around stuff, but and I don't know, man. Maybe if I would have been in school when Chat GPT and generative AI was a thing, I might have been a little more tempted to do that sort of stuff. But I never would have been like, "Hey, write this paper for me." That seems crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I definitely did some kinda shady stuff too, probably more than you if I had to guess.
I don't know,
Um,
man. I was like,
uh
I was pretty creative with my ways of getting out of shit. To be
Yeah,
honest.
but you were probably, juggling the morality of some of it,
Yeah, yeah.
and you never mind, I can't say that, I'll tell you later. Um, but it didn't bother me as much to, do something that I shouldn't do, depending on the circumstances. But, yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. It's funny, being our age now, though, I feel like there's a lot of people in our age and a little bit older. I guess in kind of like that millennial age range. Like that. Are we elder millennial? No, we're not elder millennial.
I don't think we quite meet the deadline.
But in a lot of online communities where I'm trying to not be around Gen Z people online and stuff. One thing that always kind of rubs me the wrong way is millennials have a very weird relationship with generative AI where they think that they are creating stuff, like they're legitimately creating stuff when they like create an AI image or something like that. Like,
Hmm.
I'll be in like online communities where like them creating AI images and sharing it as their own work, or like is accepted. And I'm like, oh man, makes me feel weird.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't know, man. There's some growing pains that need to come along with. Like we're in a new era. It's like people just gave us a bunch of like weapons of mass destruction, and we're just playing around. We didn't have any training manuals or anything. We're just messing around.
Yeah,
Shit'll
and
buff out one day.
I go back and forth with my relationship with that sort of stuff too. Like I kind of, how much I like to use it for certain things, because it can be helpful, right? But I don't want it to like do my thinking for me, because
Yeah, I mean that's what
really,
they like. There are like standards in like the Virginia curriculum now for ethical use of AI. They don't
mm,
really explain what that means, but like it's kind of like you just I don't know, make it make sense for don't do this. This can be cool. Use it as a tool, not a crutch or whatever. But I don't know.
are you allowed to have a torrid affair with an AI, but reference it as your actual wife to your kids at school? Is that outlined in the
I,
stuff
I
anywhere?
need that's a discussion that I need to have with Bridget. Um, just make sure everybody's comfortable.
Mm, mm-hmm,
Bringing a generative lover. I like that. Gen,
mm,
gener, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Generative. This is Rival Banter. We get together every week and talk about all things latest AI news and bring it to you and let you deal with the moral quandary. Actually, we're chasing down another dilemma that we're going to get to here shortly. That we're not going to be able to tackle AI until we get to the bottom of this other issue that we've been trying to get to the bottom of. But we do get together every week and we talk about all things Marvel Rivals and push it out on YouTube and over on podcast services everywhere. You can also check us out on social media at Rival Banter on Instagram and TikTok. Be sure wherever you're listening to us, you hit that follow button and leave us a comment and subscribe, all those good things. We appreciate you. And we love interacting with the comments. And we're going to jump into some viewer comments right now. And the first comment comes from Con Still Solo, by the way, over on TikTok, talking about Blade, who says he's a very high skill brawl character. Him and Thor will be such a good pair. Now, Seth, we're going to talk about our own kind of experience with Blade. Actually, we can maybe hop in. Have you played Blade at all this season? Yeah.
And I haven't really had the chance. Like he's one of the. He's still kind of in. Well, there have been a few games he hasn't been insta locked, but they haven't been games where I've wanted to jump into that role. So no, I haven't. Should I have 100%? I do think this could be a cool combo. But like I like the idea of him and Thor just jumping into the melee, just effing stuff up. But um, I don't know. I'm so frustrated just by, and we'll talk about this some, of course, a little bit more probably later. But like, I feel like he's a character from what I've seen that's really easy to play poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be any character, I'm sure, but like for him with that balance between like his anti-heal, his vampire state, and whatever, um, it's just like I just haven't seen a lot of great Blade play so far, and I haven't tried to crack the code myself. So no judgment on anybody necessarily there. I do like Solo's idea here of our pairing with Thor. I think that could be pretty fun. What about you, Luke?
Yeah, I've played a little bit of Blade so far. He is very complicated, very high skill. I think you do have to kind of his kit doesn't totally make a lot of sense to me, but I do think it is one of those. He is one of those heroes where it's like really easy to die with him because you have to understand like how to use his deflect, how to use his vampire state. When you're in your vampire state, you're not receiving as much healing, all that sort of stuff. So it's easy to get blown up, and it's also really easy to get gapped by an opponent Blade who knows what he's what he's doing, which is what I've run into a couple times. But yeah, I like that we are kind of in a little bit more of a brawl meta with Blade. I don't know if I've seen him so much with Thor as I've seen him with like Thing and Hulk and just kind of jumping on back lines and getting up in the face of people. Um,
Yeah, I've seen Hulk a lot with in this kind of Blade comp going on.
yeah, so um, I don't know. I like the idea of it being with a Thor. I don't think people have quite tapped into the full potential of Thor with the changes that came to him with like his ability to counter flyers and stuff like that. So maybe we'll see Thor as the meta starts to develop a little bit more. But yeah, I like the call out that he's more of a brawly character. So thank you for that comment, Con Still Solo. Also, if you guys hear something crazy in the background, my dog is with me today and he is tearing up a toy.
Mm.
I'm just letting him. All right, Marty commented on a TikTok with us talking about the new penalties for levers that were introduced to both quick play and ranked, and said the people complaining about these penalties are the same people whom that's not the correct use of whom, is it? No, it's not.
No,
No,
no.
that ain't gonna do it, brother. That ain't gonna do it. But he says the people complaining about these penalties are the same people who rage quit when they're getting diffed in QP. Great changes. Seth, we talked a little bit about the changes last week. I think overall they are good changes. I will say I'm kind of hating the that I can't just leave quick play matches now.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the other end of the straw, right? Like, I mean, it's good. Like, of course, you want some kind of accountability, but quick play, like, I don't know, that's where I go to relax. Like, I don't know. I mean, it still ruins the match for in a lot of ways when people are constantly leaving, even if it's quick play. But it is nice just to have that option. Like, I don't know, like we need those red hats. Keep quick play fun or make quick play. I don't know. We'll figure it out. There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, we'll might get to it by the end of this episode. We'll see. But yeah, and I really only quit quick plays when they just are like really silly, when it's just like 6 DPS on a team or something like that. But you feel a little bit trapped in those games. But I think overall the changes uh in quitting or like to the quitter penalties are good, and I'm interested to see how it kind of susses out over the course of the rest of the season if it does make a bigger impact on people's behavior inside of the game. I do feel like some of the reports I've like put out get feedback a lot quicker. I don't know if that's like part of their new review system and stuff like that, but that
Hmm.
might just be some placebo effect just from what they've said about their focus on community. But I don't know. I feel
True.
like they're aware of like the perception that people have of them in these kind of different categories of things, and I think quitting was one of those areas where they felt like where I feel like they kind of understood people had this perception that they were really lax, and they're trying to make up for that. And I appreciate an effort, and we'll see how it kind of pans out in the long run. So the next comment comes from Racing820 over on Spotify. And last week we were kind of talking about with matchmaking how a lot of times the people that you're seeing who are like celestial in your gold lobby are just people who have their accounts have decayed. Racing says pretty much what I did. I peaked rank 418, then I went home from college where I don't really have the internet to play, and now I'm getting back into it against diamonds, and it feels scummy. So just a little anecdotal evidence to what we were talking about earlier. And we'll talk a little bit more about matchmaking here in just a bit. And then Seth, why don't you read this final comment while I make sure my dog's not eating something that'll kill him?
Yeah, check on that dog. W Blood says about the thing. Here's the thing. Can he reproduce is the question here. And it really is the question, isn't it? In fiction, typically rock creatures, and I love that you just like went to fiction in general, just the tropes of genre fiction, fantastic. In fiction, typically rock creatures are made by magic or created. I can't think of any that are organic or reproduced by themselves. Next question, does he have blood? I don't think rocks typically bleed, which leads me to my theory. He has a mushroom shaped rock lump and it's basically decorative. This is in reference, of course, to a conversation the kind of a running conversation we've been having over the
Hmm.
last few weeks, post Thing Thong skin and missed opportunity, if you ask us. Um, I agree. I do think that like I'm glad you don't break it down too much because I get to this is about the science of erections. And so like the blood, like that's how one achieves this state.
Hmm.
Um, it's a rushing of blood to the groin, and then shit happens. Um,
Yeah, like your
okay,
hands go numb,
uh-huh.
right?
Exactly. You may faint, experience lightheadedness, full-on blackouts, whatever. Um, but yeah, I can think of probably some organic rock creatures or whatever, just in general. But yeah, I do think like I don't know if there's canonical evidence that the thing is infertile as a result of his celestial experience or whatever. I do think it's implied though, because like he doesn't have any. I think we've discussed on another episode. We did some research. He doesn't have any um, biological children of his own.
Hmm.
And so I would think if you've been a character kicking it in the Marvel universe for across multiple resets and et cetera, et cetera, there's got to be something going on. If no writer or artist has given you a child, and you've been like happily married for years and years and years, something's. I mean, it's either a choice, which is cool. If you're a rock man, an orange rock man with a decorative mushroom gland, I got a bad feeling.
Mm-hmm. So I did actually look up this because I think it is a good question about the blood,
Yeah,
right?
fantastic.
Because the life is in the blood, according to the scriptures, at least. And so the question is, does Ben Grimm have blood? And canonically, no, he does not have traditional blood. So
Hmm.
as you know, he was not created magically, but he was transformed by cosmic rays. Um, in the original Fantastic Four storyline. And that made his body an orange, rocky, durable material, often referred to as, quote, rock like tissue, end quote. So there's no actual blood. And so it altered like the biological processes that he went through. But that doesn't say anything about his ability to get erections or whatnot. So the next natural question is, does he have a penis, right? Like, so if he doesn't have blood, does he still have a penis? And the answer to that is yeah, most likely he does, because all superheroes in the Marvel universe are kind of anatomically correct despite whatever they've whatever has happened to them. So yeah, he doesn't have blood, but he has a penis. Now there's probably other ways to science your way into an erection without blood, but having a penis. Um, but yeah, so just more pieces of the puzzle falling into place. I'll do more research and might get back to you guys next week on more.
That was beautiful.
So. Really great questions, W Blood. I also just realized his name was W Blood. What a relevant name. All right, guys. If you want us to respond to your comments, leave them in wherever you're watching us, and we'll respond to those. We'd really love to know you guys' thing theories, and we can just keep this conversation going for weeks on end. Seth, what did you get up to in game this week?
Just not too much. I've been kind of in the rush, kind of getting back in the swing of like full time work. So, back at school, back doing the thing. So really haven't had a ton of time to get in there, but um, played a few games. I am not really loving where the game is at right now, and it's kind of I think also affected by playtime as well. We can talk about that, at length as we kind of get further into the show, but I'm just like I'm not in love, and I think it's because of this drought of other kinds of characters. We've got all this DPS action going on, and I think that that's really affecting the meta in a lot of ways. And I was telling a student today as I was talking to them about rivals. I was like, I just haven't really had any good matches in the past like week since Blade launched, and I mean, like maybe one or two. But usually we're in a much better like on a much better hot streak, either competitively or even in quick play than we have been here lately. And it's just like I'm getting in these huge DPS teams, these people that are playing around, and maybe roles that they're not so used to. I don't know. It's just it hasn't been the best time for me.
Yeah, I totally understand that because it's been the same way for me, and I haven't even been like logging on to just complete my challenges or whatever, like and I've been playing pretty regularly still. It's just like when season 3 launched, I was on and I was like checking the challenge page and making sure I was making progress on everything, but I just haven't felt that same urge just because. Sorry, my dog is now on the tear. Let me get this.
I don't think it's that noticeable.
Okay, well that's good. So yeah, if I don't know, Rivals has always kind of felt like a crapshoot when it comes to queuing, just because there's no roll queue, right? So you don't know what you're going to get. But here lately, it's felt like you're throwing loaded dice and betting against them because every game it's at least 3 DPS, right? And uh, so it just becomes so hard to play. So I haven't jumped into ranked or anything like that, and didn't get a whole lot of time to like try Blade or anything like that, just because there was so much insta locking of Blade or so much 3 DPS already. So I didn't want to be the 4th DPS and go Blade. Now Blade releasing has been good for me since I've been playing a lot of Cloak and Dagger. That team up is useful with him. I'm like, I think 100 points away from my Lord Cloak and Dagger, so pretty excited about that. I'll have to decide on what my next Lord is going to be. And then outside of the game, I went by Box Lunch and picked up 2 of my little blind bag pins that you had been recommending to me, and I got Groot and Scarlet
Yeah.
Witch. So
Yeah, we're Groot brothers now. I've got the Groot pen. I haven't been back to it. Well, I have been back to a box lunch. They just didn't have like the store I went to didn't. Um, it's kind of out of luck. They're kind of expensive for a blind bag
yeah, it was
pin
like
purchase. I think too.
$13.
Yeah, I think when I bought it, it was like 12.50.
Yeah, 12.50.
And but there was like a buy one get one half off store wide at this store, so I kind of got lucky with that. I don't know that I will pay full price consistently, but like it might be something I like throw in on top of a bigger purchase. Like that time, I got those 2 things and then like a Fantastic Four jersey. And kind of in the like the uphill climb to the movie, waiting on that to release. And I think I threw like an extra pin in there just to get some more money off of it. I was buying stuff because it was on sale.
Yeah. Are they planning to do more
I have no
rotations?
idea. I hope so. I would think so. I mean, it's cool. I just don't know how well they sell. But like when I bought those pins, I had originally asked one of the sales associates. I was like, "Do you have any Marvel Rivals stuff?" And she's like, "I got you." And she tried to take me. I guess they had just sold out of the Fantastic Four Rivals shirts. But then she's like, "Oh, we've got these pins over here," and that was before I knew they existed. And I see them, and I'm like, "Oh hell yeah, it's cool!" And so I bought a couple of them. She had them all up and down her lanyard too, so like she'd clearly been buying them. If nothing else, maybe the box lunch employees can keep the trend alive.
Yeah, there were only I got the last 2 that were there, so they didn't have
Maybe
many.
they're pretty popular.
All right, well, let's jump into the news, and I think my dog is starting to chill out, so we're good. Hopefully, it hasn't been too
He's out of
annoying.
energy.
All right, First item on the list, we got some new skins coming to the game, and this week it's going to be a new Cloak and Dagger skin and a new Winter Soldier skin. I feel like we haven't had a new Winter Soldier skin in forever.
Yeah, it has been a while, hasn't it? Well, I guess since Thunderbolts, I feel like that's maybe the most recent one. Could be wrong,
Yeah, but
but
that
it's
was
been a slow
what? When did
trickle.
Thunderbolts came out in what? Like
May
March?
maybe or March? Was it March?
I don't know. Let me look
I
that.
got it.
Oh, he's got it.
May
Um
2nd, May
okay,
2nd,
May 2nd.
2025.
So yeah. It
The skin may have launched earlier or something.
well, yeah, no, I think it was that week. So yeah, it's been a
Okay.
few months since we've gotten a Winter Soldier skin, but we have the Cloak and Dagger Polarity Bond skin, and I think this skin looks sick.
I do too.
I love the little detailing, the accessories on both of them, the big chain that Cloak is wearing, and like the head. What are the I don't know what would you call that thing that Dagger's wearing on her head? Jewelry.
Yeah, I mean, it's like kind of chainy. It reminds me of like a bit like what a belly dancer might
Yeah.
wear, like some kind of accessory. Is that what the term belly dancer?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
There was like a belly dancing club when I went to college. I was not in it. Looked fun. Wasn't really my jam. It looks like something that they might have thrown on. Yeah, I mean, it looks awesome. I don't know that I'm gonna be buying it, but I do think it like makes sense. Like it's kind of cool how like you got kind of a dual character, and then you've kind of got dual roles, or like again, it's kind of like a polarity, right? You've got the Phoenix Force side, you've got the symbiote side, um, and the other characters have that like they're coming out with skins where they're just single body is divided. I kind of like how this is split across two sides of the same character, or two like different versions of the same character, I guess.
Yeah. And then the Winter Soldier, the Polarity Soldier one here looks like kind of same thing, right? You got the Phoenix Force, but also the symbiote uh, style skin. But he also has the like what were those called? The was it the witch doctors? Not witch doctors. What were the
Like a
plague
plague
doctor?
like
Yeah, the
plague
plague.
doctor mask, yeah.
Yeah, like a plague doctor mask
Which
here.
I don't know if it's supposed to look like that. I feel like it's
It's
supposed to
supposed
be
to be a
more like
phoenix.
just like a phoenix beak, yeah, but it
Yeah.
does kind of like I don't know if it's elongated enough, but it did make me think of the plague doctor too.
But yeah, it looks cool too. I don't know. I'll probably pick up the Cloak and Dagger skin. I'm still using her their old the skin from last season. So I think
Mhm.
I think I'll celebrate my lorddom with a new Cloak and Dagger skin in this game. So those will be dropping in the shop later this week. Um, Next item on the list, and we'll probably dig in here for a little bit, but uh, the Marvel Rivals official X account released a statement, and this was following an interview with, and I always forget his name, the head of the game. Is it Guangguang? Is that how you say it? Um,
I don't know. I mean, I know the face. That's all
yeah,
I got.
the guy you see in every single Dev Vision video. Um,
Mhm.
but this was following a video where he answered this question as well in an interview. But it says, "Hi rivals, as our game continues to thrive, we want to reiterate that Marvel Rivals does not use EOMM, which is engagement optimized matchmaking. We are currently working on a video to demonstrate our developer insights on the matchmaking and ranking system, which is expected to be released next week." What do you make of that, Seth?
I mean, cool. That's good to know. It doesn't really solve the problem that it still can feel busted from time to time. So something else is going on. But it's impossible to say what really at this point. Maybe this video coming next week will give some insight into that. But I mean, I don't know. It makes me feel a little better, but I don't know that it necessarily like solves my problem.
Yeah, yeah, I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head here, right? Because it's like this is it's solving a problem while creating another problem, and we kind of talked about this in the episode where we talked about engagement optimized matchmaking in Rivals, where you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, if you are Rivals, where it's like if you have it in your game, you are in this position where you have to figure out a way to improve it and change the perception of the system in and of itself. Or if you're in this spot like they're claiming to be in, which is that they don't use it, you have to, number one, prove to the community and change the perception that you are in fact using it. But also you have to drill down and get to the root of, okay, why do people have such a kind of negative experience with the matchmaking in this game? And so if they're peeling back the curtain and showing us what they're doing as far as matchmaking is concerned, that's great. But these issues aren't arising because people are like, wow, Rivals is doing such a great job with matchmaking. We would love to know more. They're having to do this because people perceive there's an issue. They've attributed that issue to a certain explanation that isn't correct. I'm hoping that this also includes like, and here are some things that we're hoping to introduce in the coming weeks and months and the next couple seasons to help improve matchmaking over the course of time, right?
And we very well could get that, like we've talked a lot about how great we think some of these changes that they've implemented for 3.5 have been going on so far, or that we like that they're like these kind of restrictions and penalties and stuff like that, at least to an extent. So I'm optimistic. I mean, up to this point, I think that they've done a great job about being transparent and responding to issues in a lot of ways. So I'm totally like it can be remedied. I don't know how easy or quick a fix something like this is, but yeah, I do think that either this video or something coming soon probably does need to dive into this a little bit more for those who want to know more, because it's clearly an issue that has pissed a lot of people off, right? And it's a lot an issue, um, just in a lot of different circles regarding this game.
And it kind of goes to the thing we were talking about last week, which is that a lot of times the perception around a game is kind of dictated by a handful of voices within the community, and then everybody kind of dog piles on that opinion. I've never been totally sold on this whole like engagement optimized matchmaking thing, and
Sure, yeah.
on that, but that doesn't mean that the matchmaking isn't broken and that the matchmaking doesn't have things that need to be wildly improved, And so this isn't just a game of whack-a-mole where it's like, see guys, here's the guy pulling the levers, getting all the matchmaking in place, and he's not using engagement optimized matchmaking. So people are just gonna move on to blaming it on something else, blaming the bad matchmaking on something else. Like it doesn't get to the root of the issue in and of itself. But I do like that they're trying to be communicative. I do like that they're trying to be transparent, and I do like that they understand that, like, hey, the way that our game is perceived is just as important as the way that our game actually is. And so we need to try to get those things to be as in line with one another as much as possible. Because right now, if it's true they're not using engagement optimized matchmaking, just go look at the comments on some of the videos of ours where I'm talking about the game probably doesn't have engagement optimized matchmaking. You'll see how convinced people are that it does, you know? And that's an issue in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I'm also curious, like, how do you show that? Like, what are they going to like?
I think that's I mentioned something like that before. Like, what do you do? Like, do you show the ones and zeros, like the binary code? You could show me that stuff until the cows come home, and I'm gonna have no idea what I'm looking at, right? So yeah, that's a tricky tightrope to be on. Like, it's tricky enough in and of itself, but like, how do you make that? How do you lay it out for the layperson, right? For the person who's not a game developer or a coder or whatever. Maybe they can use their generative AI to come up with a strategy.
Hi, Chat GPT. We are currently getting raked over the coals. You mind putting a video together for me?
Mm.
um, And you know, I think there's also other things within just kind of the matchmaking in and of itself that like kind of calls into question things like, you know, bots being used to backfill quick play and things like that. Like, um, there's other things that I think are also present within matchmaking that are also bad community perceptions, and I hope that the rivals devs understand the negative perception surrounding those things and want to try to work to get ahead of those as well. But I don't know. It was interesting. I was watching a Flats video about this, but he was watching the interview with the head developer of Rivals, and the whole interview he was answering stuff in Mandarin, and then they got to this question about engagement optimized matchmaking, and he had the answer prepared in English, and it was just like really clear how important clearing this misconception up was. And I think it's one thing, honestly, though, I think it's one thing to be like, it's almost more forgivable to be like, hey guys, our matchmaking system just sucks versus like having to forgive a studio for intentionally just trying to manipulate us into being as engaged with their game as possible through some sort of like weird matchmaking system. So I'm almost like happy if it's the case that they aren't using engagement optimized matchmaking, in my opinion.
Yeah, it leaves more room for improvement, I think, like, and not necessarily in a negative way. Like there are it's a problem that can be fixed creatively somehow. It's not a matter of like reinventing the wheel. It's just finding another strategy, something that works and not totally changing the whole algorithm or the whole, whatever the coding development term is for this kind of thing.
I also don't really understand how people. I don't know. I guess I don't get the psychology behind the idea that like, hey, it's it's optimized around engagement for you to have big ass win streaks and big ass loss streaks. Like, I get the win streaks, right? You get hot, you stay hot, you want to keep playing, but like, I don't know. I've never lost 4 games in a row and been like, I would love to keep going. you know?
I just gotta keep going, baby. Yeah, I mean, I would think that the better solution would be like maybe a short loss streak followed by another hot streak. But I mean, that's still it's so fake. It's so contrived, right? Like it doesn't make me feel any better if that were to really be the case. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, next item on the list. So when Blade came out, there were some rumors, speculation, some Reddit math that was going on saying that he's bugged and that he's not getting as much life steal as he was supposed to have. Well, Marvel Rivals support responded in Discord and said, "Dear player, thank you for contacting us and we apologize for the wait. Regarding your issue, we are sorry for any confusion caused. In addition to the 60% lifesteal buff, there is also a 40% healing reduction debuff, which results in a final lifesteal effect of 36%. So people were expecting him to just have the 60% lifesteal that is listed in like his character rundown, but it was also applying the 40% healing reduction. People thought that was a bug, but the Rivals devs came out and said, no, that's the way that it's intended to work, which is, in my opinion, I think that's a good thing because a 60% life steal while also being able to receive any amount of healing seems like it would be crazy busted now.
Yeah, you couldn't. I mean, you couldn't kill that guy if you tried, right?
I mean, and if he's like already kind of ramped up and going, he's already pretty difficult to kill if he's up in your face. So so the 60% would have been even tougher. But yeah, uh, but again, like these are the kinds of things I like, right? Like they take the feedback from the community seriously. They go and they look at it and they try to clearly come back and say this. I'm sure if this was bugged, they would have said we're working on a fix, you know, or hell, they probably would have fixed it by now if it was a bug. But you know, the clarity and the communication, I think, is the thing that, regardless of how much I might be frustrated with the state of the game, I do appreciate these kinds of things.
Yeah.
All right. And then the final piece of news. So I don't even remember. I don't even know what interview this is from, but some people were interviewing the lead developer of Marvel Rivals, and they were saying that NetEase is aware of the current problem of having more duelists and vanguards and strategists combined, but it would take at least a year for a resolution to take place due to the long and complicated process of hero design and approval. And this was from a post from Dynamo Den over on the Marvel Rivals subreddit. Um, Seth, talk to me a little bit. I know this is something we've been wanting to get into.
Like I get that. Like it takes time, especially in a game that depends so much on balance. You've got to make sure that the shit's gonna buff out, right? Like you want everything smooth and polished. You want the balance to be just so. So yeah, I get that it takes time. However, it's one thing to say like we'd love to fix it, but it's gonna take a while. But like if you have a game like this is not the first game of its kind or anything like that, right? Like I've got to think that like I don't know, something else is going on behind the scenes that would make this like what makes you choose to release that many DPS characters back to back or how do you end up with that ratio of like having twice as many as both of your other role possibilities combined? Like it just seems like a lack of either foresight or like I don't know if it's a lack of concern. Like I love so many things that this game does, but like if that's the case, it kind of seems like a little bit of a lack of vision in a game that I think does have such great vision and forward thinking in a lot of other areas. So it's just kind of like I just kind of feel down thinking of it like this way. Like um, it makes me concerned for the future, not necessarily like worried, but I'm just like not as optimistic about the next little while if this is more of what we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think in some ways NetEase had a lot more faith in the community's ability to kind of develop a consistent meta and to really kind of pressure one another into playing the game in a specific and correct way. And you get this from just like reading the community update thing that they put out before season 3.5, where they were saying things like, even when the fight seems like it's lost, just remember that putting your heads together and having a positive mental attitude can sometimes lead to good results. And like,
It can.
and it
It
can, like,
can.
don't get me wrong, but
It
I
can.
do genuinely think that the developers kind of in the lead up to releasing this game sort of lost the plot, not lost the plot, but they kind of disconnected uh between how this plays when they're sitting down for a like in office play test when it's like 12 people on their team who are intimately familiar with the game and who know kind of the way the game's supposed to be played, and disconnected from now it's in the hands of a bunch of other people, and this is the way that kind of just the common person playing these kinds of games are going to want to play it. And so in their original designs, because we're probably still getting content that was being planned prior to the game ever releasing, right? Like I'm
Sure.
sure Blade and Phoenix and all that stuff was signed. It was designed and signed off on before the game was even launched in December. And so we're still kind of, I think, getting the effects of that developer rose-colored glasses, looking at the game in the ideal state that they hope that it gets played in versus how it's actually being played in. And so now that they're seeing the impact of their game in the wild, it does take time to steer that ship. But I'm with you, Seth. I think that like there's enough other games in this genre to have understood how people were going to engage with it, and it should have been an easy thing to look and see, wow, our duelist roster is huge and we've got some of the most popular Marvel characters in this role itself. And, you know, that's going to present a problem down the line. And then we're going to compound that problem because in season 3, we're going to release 2 DPS characters in within a month of each other. Like, uh, I don't know. That's poor planning. That's poor foresight, in my opinion, for the developers.
Yeah, 100%. Again, it's not an issue that I think is going to. Hopefully, it's not super consistent moving forward. I do love that, like we kind of had the same thing around the Fantastic Four time, but like it was mitigated because that was like a you got a pair at each half season, right? You got a duelist and um, a tank. Maybe I'm getting the order wrong, but like you got Mister Fantastic and the Thing. You got Invisible Woman and Human Torch, right? Like in whatever order, but like each time you had a duelist paired with something else, and so that's great. I'm sure it's hard to launch that many characters at the same time consistently. Every once in a while could be cool, and I think that's definitely what's needed. I don't see myself tuning in a lot for season 4 if the news comes out that we're going to be getting like another duelist character introduced into this meta that quickly. I doubt that it'll happen. I don't see how it would make any
Yeah.
sense, but I mean at this point, I could be shocked. I could be awed.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think that's a reality we're going to have to worry about either. I think it would be, yeah, I just think it would be a total own goal from NetEase if they were like, hey, there's another DPS character for the start of season 4. So I'm not anticipating that, but I don't know, man. I do think, look, I have a little bit of trauma left over from Overwatch, from my how deep into Overwatch I was, and how ingrained we were into the goats meta for so long. And look, that's not exactly what this issue is, right? But we are in this state right now where it seems like unless you're playing in the highest of high ranks, you're going to be playing 1-3-2, or hell, you might be playing 1-4-1 in a lot of games that you queue up into. And for guys like us who, I don't just play strategist and tank because because I feel like I have to. Like I'm not just doing it. Like I genuinely enjoy playing tank and strategist, but it becomes so much harder to play those roles when you're playing with 3 DPS, when you're playing with 4 DPS. And so it becomes more frustrating for me to queue up and play the game because for the last week, I haven't really even had a quality match because I'm having to play with 3, 4 DPS every single game that I play. And then I'm
Yeah,
playing,
and I mean,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, like certain characters solo tank better than others, right?
Yeah.
Again, like just kind of in general. So that kind of limits who you can even play as in that Vanguard role. Like you want somebody probably with a shield or some kind of blocking ability, not just the ability to soak up damage, but to like straight up block it and mitigate it. So, like if you're playing somebody like I don't know, Thing, you're like if you're solo tanking in that role you're probably not gonna have a lot of fun if you're the only person soaking up all that damage.
Well, and even what I was going to say is like playing with you, where you've been tanking so much and you play a lot of Cap, right? Like Cap is not a great solo tank either, because his whole goal is like get in the back line, harass the back line, distract them from being able to like efficiently heal and stuff like that. And so you need another tank to be able to take the pressure off of you and to be able to peel for the back line. And it's impossible for you to have fun on the character you want to play because other people aren't playing around that character, or and just not playing the game kind of as it's designed in general. And I think there was a little too much trust in this development team in the community, but I think there was also just a little too much trust in their own design, right? That like, hey, 3 DPS is going to be viable, and all these different permutations of compositions are going to be viable, when in reality it isn't. Like it still follows the same principles uh of hero shooters, right? You need those 2 tanks in order to absorb pressure, take pressure off of your backline, create space for your DPS to work and do other stuff, and it just becomes miserable to play if you're not one of those 3 DPS who all they care about is their kills and shit like that. Seth, are you at a
Mhm.
point right now where you're kind of like, you know what, fuck like the 3 strategist metas and all the cool stuff we might be able to do? Like, can we just get roll queue?
No, I mean, like, I still I still enjoy the freedom, and kinda like the room to play and, mess around, to tinker, if you will. Um, I mean, I might get there if it keeps up, but, it's just kind of I think a lull. It's like a kind of a frustrating period, hopefully a brief period. It's just so duelist heavy that to it's hard to go on those, like, big game streaks, like, just to keep playing and playing and playing right now, because when you're in those lobbies, it feels like you're just getting punished over and over and over again.
Hmm. Outside of just add more add more tanks and healers, what are some other ways you think they can kind of solve this problem in the short term? Because look, we can't wait a year for them to kind of balance this roster out, right? Like we had to wait a year and a half for them to try to solve the goats thing, and that didn't work out too well on Overwatch. So, what are some like short term solutions you can think of that would maybe help like alleviate this kind of an issue? Um,
I just don't know. I mean, like, I know at one point they tried, like, shouting out, like, "Hey, duelists should do this if you're gonna be a duelist. Like, you should peel to help your healers." They talked about how they had intentionally designed the meta that way in one of these updates. I think maybe it was, like, 2.5 or something like that. Maybe 2.0, but I mean, I don't feel like that did that much to resolve the issue. I feel like it was kind of more of a time thing, but again, we also weren't getting 2 DPS characters back to back. So I think this is one of those things that maybe we just need time to get through it and move on to the next phase. And hopefully that next phase is a long break from a new duelist character. That's
mhm.
all I've got.
Yeah. Um, I think there's a couple things they can do. I think the first thing is just give us more cool team ups with tanks, not as the anchor, but as the character that gets the cool shit. So like, you know, like Mag had the awesome sword with Scarlet Witch and stuff like that. Like give us more cool shit like that. Hell, give us team ups where like 2 tanks together get the team up. You know, like we have the Emma Frost and Magneto team up right now. Like give us more of that kind of stuff. Like give back the Venom Penny Parker, or you know, like things like that that kind of encourage teams to have 2 characters on the field, like 2 tanks on the field at the same time. Um, Now, this one would be a little bit more controversial, but you could, and I know we talked about this when like the 3 strategist meta was kind of like a big deal, but hey, give kind of a universal nerf to all 3 DPS if there's 3 DPS on the field. Like, hey, now you do 5% less damage or whatever. If there's three
Mhm.
DPS versus 2 DPS, so you still have that flexibility, but you're gonna have to learn to play around like the little disadvantage that you get as a result of it or something. Like, I think there's some creative ways that you could do it. I'd much rather see like them give advantages to strategists and tanks versus like disincentivizing DPS. But yeah, I hope we get some creative things versus just like be patient with us, guys. Give us a year to just balance the shit out.
Yeah, I mean, a year's a long time in gaming for sure. Like, I don't see that strategy necessarily being the most effective for business.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into our topic of the day, which we kind of been talking about a little bit of it already. But season 3.5 is now out. We've got our new balance changes. We've got Blade. We got the new event and stuff like that. So let's just kind of give some of our thoughts on the new season. Um, you know, I don't know if we've played enough to kind of form an opinion about the meta or anything like that, uh, but yeah, Seth, is there anything that's jumped out to you over the last few days of playing that you're like, this person's stronger, or, you know?
No, I feel like just in general, I haven't noticed a ton of changes, and I know there weren't like a ton of balance changes in the patch notes anyway, as we talked about before, right? Like compared to at least other seasons. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, no, it was definitely a smaller list of changes.
Yeah, so I don't feel like we're like again like totally changing the game here or anything. I mean, again, Blade seems cool. I've seen some good Blade play, or I've seen some good Blades. They're usually not on my team. They're usually going pretty negative. The ones that we've seen so far. Again, I think overall, I don't know how much other stuff I have to say about kind of just the state of the game in 3.5 so far, other than just it seems like this is like just kind of a lull in the meta. It's like kind of the the I don't know if we want to call it a lazy release of characters or something like that, but it's just I feel like that kind of attitude of just like, well, here are some characters back to back here, like to just have some more duelists. I feel like that's kind of like bled into the meta, and as a result, we're just seeing so many that it makes the game a lot harder to play.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't even run into a lot of the kind of like I haven't even really seen like the Adam Warlock Luna Snow team up or the
Mhm.
Mantis Groot Loki stuff either. Excuse me. Um
And
so
maybe it's a time thing. Like maybe we'll see it more as people get more and more used to it. But I feel like everybody's just running Blade and then as much other DPS as they can get, just trying to pack a punch.
yeah, that's the thing is you'll get like Blade, and because you get Blade, you're gonna get like a Cloak and Dagger, and then you're gonna get like a Moon Knight, and like your other pieces are gonna kind of fall into place as a result of like just that new character or whatever. And so yeah, I feel like I haven't ran into a lot of the new stuff. I do feel like I have seen an uptick in Adam Warlock, and I think his ult is a lot more viable now too, with you know the the new the new ability that comes with his revival and his the over health that you get from his heal and stuff like that too. So I've been seeing a lot more Adam Warlock, but like yeah, I haven't seen any kind of uptick in Mantis or anything like that. I still just keep seeing Cloak and Daggers, Invisible Woman's, Luna Snows. Like those are the main healers that I'm seeing. I'm not even seeing a whole lot of like Jeff uh Ultron or anything like that anymore at this point.
No, no, I haven't either. Really, it's been a while since I've seen an Ultron. I feel like here and there, but that may just be a random occurrence. I don't know.
And I feel like this is maybe a result of like this cadence, right? Where it's like you can't do too much too fast. And so it, with us getting a new half season every 4 weeks, like are all of the balance changes going to feel like this now where they all just kind of feel like incremental adjustments and changes, or is it going to be like season 4 is a really big list of balance changes that attempts to really shake up the meta, and then each half season is just kind of small tweaks and adjustments to it? But it really does feel like there wasn't a whole lot outside of Blade to kind of get excited about. There was, like we had the new like skin event, but there was no new mode, there was no new map or anything like that. And so it just this didn't feel as like it had as much pomp as previous half seasons.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to forget when you don't see it right away, but they are like we do have the promise of this upcoming like new competitive mode. Well, it'll be a quick play mode at first. We're gonna have that new map. It's just we don't have like the instant gratification that we're used to at the launch of a new half season. So it could get a lot better and maybe just different ways here in the new future as we kind of learn what this new game mode is. But it can't come soon enough for me right now.
Yeah. Where would you kind of put yourself on scale of 1 to 10, like your relationship with the game right now?
I mean, it's hard for me to go super low because again, I do just love the game in general. I love talking about the game. I love playing the game. I think about the game all the time in a lot of ways. I just lost the game you get it, you get it.
Mm,
Um,
bastard.
but yeah, like I'd go like a 7 for me personally right now. Like I'm still engaged enough to be hopping on a few times a week. I'm still loving it. I even when I'm losing, I'm still in some way loving my time with the game. But I've got to limit that time at this point right now in order to really like to keep the marathon going. It's a sprint. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm kind of at like a 5 right now because, like I said, I'm not like logging on every day to make sure I get my challenges and stuff done. I'm not like I'm gonna finish this season pass or whatever, and that's gonna be fine. But like, didn't feel compelled to like buy this new special event pass or whatever, which is fine. I don't need to feel compelled to buy everything that comes to the game or whatever. In fact, my wife is probably happy I don't feel compelled to buy everything that comes. uh, but yeah, I think I can be drawn back in if this new mode is cool, if the new map is cool. You know, season 4 rolls around, we get a new tank or something like that. I can be roped back into, or if I just like the thing. I'm kind of just finishing the Cloak and Dagger Lord thing right now because I'm so close. But the I went from like absolutely no time on the thing to getting Lord thing in like 3 weeks. I was
Yeah,
just hooked on playing thing there for a while. So all it'll take is for the game to kind of get me with something like that again, right? And I'm sure it will. But right now, I'm a little negative about the game, which is not a place I love being because it's just a game. I shouldn't, let it affect my mental that much. But yeah, I wish it was in a better place right now. But I trust that we'll get back there. So.
yeah, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let us know your thoughts on season 3.5 in the comments as well. But we are going to get out of here. Seth, what are you going to try to get up to this week in game?
I'm just gonna try to have like this is probably like a kind of hippy dippy goal, but I just want to have some more fun in the game. I want to, like in the past, I feel like we've done a great job of kind of adapting our expectations and our relationship with the game. There are times where we've gotten really competitive and into like the grind and the climb. And when that's gotten frustrated, we've kind of stepped back and found something else to dig about the game, like just kind of vibing and quick play or whatever. And that's been I think the most fun that we've had in a lot of ways so far. And so in this next phase, there may be something, maybe it's just working on lure statuses, maybe it's just kind of finding something else to kind of do and interact with the game in a different way. Kind of as we're in a period we're not so crazy about. But that's all I've got. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's where I am too. I think I just want to get on and kind of reset my relationship with the game and just have fun with it. Queue up in quick play, maybe just tank duo it up once I get this Cloak Lord and just, me and you just force everybody else to play strategist and we just fuck people's backline up as the tank
Hmm.
duo. So
Take duo, baby.
but but all right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you are subscribed and following us everywhere. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Rival Banter. And we will see you guys next week. We love you. Good luck in your games. Bye.
Goodbye.